Welcome to the dumbest smart guy podcast on the planet. This is the Central Unintelligence Podcast. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the CIA's favorite podcast, the Central Unintelligence Podcast. My name's Josh. I'm here today with fellow criminal Adam.
My name is Jocelyn, and this is Chelsea Green.
Anyways, today we're going to talk about Israel finally responding to Iran's fucking missile attack from like a month ago, whatever the fuck it was.
With a limp dick missile strike.
Limp dick missile strike. But anyways, I digress. Before we get into that, though, let's talk about where you can go to help support us. You can go to Game Rage Magazine on YouTube, where you can please subscribe. We need 19 subscribers so we can do breaking news coverage and excellent stories. You know, if you see all these assholes on there doing breaking news and they're bland, they're boring, that's not what you get from Game Rage. It's not what you get from Central Intelligence Podcast, right? You get some interesting takes. You get some fucking high comedy. You get some excellent fucking entertainment, sports entertainment, as it's called. So please go to YouTube and like, comment, and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Game Rage Magazine, Twitter/X Game Rage Mag. You can follow Adam at All Gas No Trash Official on Instagram and go check out the All Gas No Trash podcast. Also, if you like anime and manga, you can check out Frank's Anime Syndicate at anime_syndicate_podcast on Instagram. All right, now let's get into it. So the Israelis responded to finally, I believe it was on Saturday night, or Friday night, a couple days ago, with a very limited strike on Iranian targets within Iran. They
what, like oil?
No, they didn't hit any oil. They didn't hit any nuclear sites. They took, I guess, the threat of Iran seriously, that they would be having a major response if they had targeted any of those things. It's likely at the behest of the United States of America that they went ahead and fucking just kind of limited their strikes. Israel is claiming as a result of these strikes, they have crippled the Iranian ability to launch missile strikes now against anyone. That's what they're claiming. I guess we'll see in the coming weeks, months, or days, depending on Iran's response to this incident, of how this is going to play out. We'll see if that holds true. The missile strike was conducted with, well, we don't know much, but it's seemingly conducted with conventional aircraft outside of the space of Iran, and they were launched from generally, it seems to be Iraq, maybe even Jordanian airspace. It's unclear for sure where exactly these attacks kind of originated from. One of the things that was interesting that came out of this, and I don't know, this very well could be a Mossad, disinformation campaign, but it's being reported that the Ayatollah Khomeini of Iran, the supreme leader of Iran, is, he's very elderly. He's in his, 80s. And supposedly he has some sort of, terminal illness, according to a lot of reports that are being thrown out there on, Twitter and, the internet. What is it called? The
stratosphere.
Yeah, the
Webosphere.
The Webosphere, or the open source, the OSINT, open source intelligence community, I guess, throughout the social medias. That's being reported and thrown out there. Now, I don't know. I have no insider knowledge, and quite frankly, I don't think any of these other assholes that report on this shit do. They just regurgitate things that they're told. I don't know if this is true or not. I reckon to say that it's likely plausible at the very least, because of the fact that, if you look at, our own president, Biden being, essentially kind of having these geriatric moments or whatever. I don't know what the terminal illness is that they're saying Khomeini has. Some people are claiming it's some sort of a terminal cancer. Some people are saying that it's some sort of brain issue. I don't know. I don't know any further. I can't comment as to whether that's true or not. But I will say that the reports are claiming that it's causing some sort of not unrest, but some sort of a internal struggle within the Iranian government as to who the actual successor is. And I just wanted to kind of touch on the fact that if this is true and the Ayatollah Khomeini actually dies, the successor, that kind of will eliminate Iran for a short period of being a credible threat to the Middle East and therefore the rest of the world. I think that there will be an internal civil war or an internal power struggle that would take place because I don't think Khomeini has necessarily stated who his exact heir is going to be or who the heir apparent would be.
How the fuck does that work? Is it by blood lineage or is
I don't think so. I think it's someone that's within the government that is a position that he has installed that will take over as his position or whatever.
On merit?
Well, I don't know if about merit, but I guess merit according to him, I suppose.
Yeah.
But it's not. I don't think it's a bloodline thing with them, and so that will then generally cause some sort of
schism
between the different factions that exist. Also, one of the things that at least has been beneficial about the Ayatollah Khomeini being in charge is that it's the devil right? He's an enemy, but you kind of know generally how he's going to respond, and I think that the intelligence community as a whole has been pretty accurate in predicting the responses from each side as to how they're going to respond. And again, it's because of the devil It's the devil that's in charge, that you kind of know his MO and how he operates. If he dies and you get some sort of a new dickhead in charge that you kind of don't really know or is sort of unknown, or the Ayatollah seems to be at this point at the very best leery of engaging in some sort of major war with Israel and therefore the West or the United States, right? He seems hesitant to do that. And it's likely because he is at least somewhat intelligent and knows we can't win a war against the United States, because if we were to engage in a war with Israel, they're going to get involved. And if we were to use nuclear weapons, it's really the only difference maker we have, if we have them. We can't use them because if we do, then the U.S. will just glass the fucking country. We'll be toast. We can't stand up to the might of the United States. If you get someone else that doesn't have that same mentality and maybe has been under him thinking, fuck you, we need to go in and do this. We need to fuck up Israel, get rid of them so we don't have to deal with this problem. We can be the main number one guy in the Middle East. The U.S. ain't going to do shit. Maybe that's what they're thinking. That's where you get into these situations. If the Ayatollah does die, we may see someone come in charge who's more aggressive in terms of their responses to Israel. Because again, Israel's been limp dick responding the shit that Iran's done to them. And Iran is quite frankly limp dick response to the things that Israel has done to them. And I believe that's on purpose. That's by design. I don't think either of them really wants to fucking get into a legit fucking war with each other at this point because of who's in charge. Maybe Netanyahu probably wants to go forward and do this, which I think Netanyahu's been trying to goad Iran into doing something because he knows the U.S. will back him up. So he knows they've got he knows Israel has backup if they ever go into some shit with Iran. I know that the Ayatollah is smart enough to realize, well, we got the Chinese, we got the Russians that claim to be supporting us, but at the end of the day, the Russians have their own problem in Ukraine to deal with. They can't fucking give us any help if we get into a war. The Chinese really can't give us any help because they're too busy dealing with the situation in Taiwan and dealing with their whole, I guess, that Eurasian or that East Pacific fucking theater. They're kind of dealing with that right now. So they probably don't have the resources to assist Iran with any sort of major shooting war. They may talk a big game to get them to do something, but at the end of the day, I don't think they have the resources to help Iran, really. And I think the Ayatollah is at least cognizant enough to know that. So if you get some other asshole who's in there that doesn't give a fuck and maybe overestimates Iran's ability to combat any sort of American aid, then we get into a problem, because if Iran does something, Israel attacks or responds, and then the U.S. gets involved, then we have an issue. And who knows where the fuck it goes from there. But, sorry, go ahead.
I think somebody that the Ayatollah, who's probably been active for, well, how long has this fucker been the Ayatollah?
I think since like the 80s. I mean, I believe we installed him, I think.
Okay, so
Ayatollah Khomeini, let me just see.
You have to imagine the next person in line, whoever they are probably gonna be more radicalized than the next than the last guy, because I mean, shit's escalated to the point that, if Israel and Iran are sending missiles to one another, what the fuck is the next person going to do to Israel if they get the chance to, because of all the fucking bullshit with the pagers that happened, the numerous missile strikes that have already happened. I mean, you can't possibly imagine that a ceasefire or even any kind of proverbial deal would ensure any kind of like peaceful agreement between Iran and Israel. And the next person in line, I don't think is even considering that being on the table.
Yeah, basically. And so there's two different guys. There's Khomeini and Khamenei. It sounds the same, right? But that guy was the Ayatollah prior to Khamenei. 1989 was when Ayatollah Khamenei was installed or put into place as, the supreme leader, or the Ayatollah essentially of Iran, which Iran is interesting. I mean, we've kind of talked about this before on a previous episode, but he's kind of like the political leader. He's also like the Pope, essentially. And, it's like this weird dual, kind of appointment that exists. And, it's interesting to see what will happen, or what will happen if he's born in 1939. I mean, the dude's fucking almost 90 years old. I mean, he's what? When was he born? He's born in 80. Fuck, where's his birthday at on this fucking thing that tells me his exact age? Yeah, he's like 85. Fuck, man, he's 85, all right? So he's getting close. I mean, he's getting close to death, all right? Most people don't live to be 90, so most people don't live to be 85. Most people live to be in their 70s. So he's already past the expiration date.
Fuck, and then your mental decline in each phase, like each decade.
Exactly. So we don't really know what the outcome of this will be. I do think there will be a power vacuum, and there will be people that will try to take control. We saw this happen in when Kim Jong-il died in North Korea, and we saw Kim Jong-un take power. There were several factions that were kind of also vying for, like, his brother, who he eventually had assassinated, because of the aftermath of them trying. There was a little bit of an internal power struggle. I think we'll see the same thing in Iran, but it'll probably be worse. It'll probably be more violent. North Korea was a little more of a subterfuge type of thing when Kim Jong-il died, and Kim Jong-un satisfied his requirement to be considered whatever they call him, the supreme leader, or whatever the fuck they call him, God, I don't know, by, again, assassinating his brother, and he gave his sisters that were loyal decent appointments, so that they remained, they stayed loyal and didn't try to usurp him and throw him over, essentially. So, I don't know if we're going to get that here, because this is not like a familial dynasty type thing. So, we may see more of a internal revolution, I guess. And I do think that because of the general state of the affairs in the Middle East, that revolution that's brewing, that internal revolution, it's not going to take 5 years. It may take, a couple of months, maybe even a couple of weeks, depending on the circumstances. But whatever the outcome is, I think it will be a more aggressive individual that takes over, and a more, I guess for lack of a better term, it will be a more conservative type of government that will take place within Iran, and they will then be more likely to engaging in open warfare against Israel and against the United States. That's where I think that a lot of the people who are the younger generation below Khamenei right now, the Gen Xers, I guess, that would be then put in charge, as opposed to him being a boomer, I guess, or whatever, they're going to be like, no, man, I think they're pushing for war. That's kind of what their goal is. But Khamenei, I feel, has been the temper of those aggressions, saying, listen, guys, we need to think about this from the meta perspective. We need to look at this as, okay, what are the unintended consequences of us doing this? And I think he's been the voice of reason almost. Now, if he's gone, there may be no voice of reason. So I don't know. We'll see, I guess. But that's kind of where we're at with the Israel situation. It's still not looking good. I mean, it's sort of petered out almost because of Israel's limp dick response. I don't know if Iran's actually going to respond to this. I think they might. There's been things that have been posted. Iran dropped this this, I don't know if it's a billboard or whatever, like this like sign that they put up that was in Hebrew that basically essentially just said that, oh, the retaliation will come or something like that. Or the end of days is nigh or some shit like that, right? It was some ridiculous shit like that they put up in Iran in Hebrew. And it's like, okay, yeah, you're fronting, right? This is some pro wrestling fucking talk, right? This is like talking shit on the mic, right?
Ghosting somebody.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to actually, I don't know if they're actually going to
haunting.
Yeah, they're haunting them. Yeah, I don't know if they're actually going to do it, but it seems like maybe this is not the Ayatollahs doing. This is like, oh, the lower guys putting this shit in, and then once they get in charge, cool, then we're going to make good on this promise. But I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens. But anyways, it's been all a bunch of, this has been a massive amount of blue balling. It's been a massive amount of fucking like, these motherfuckers need Cialis, Viagra, Blue Chew. I don't know. They need some shit to get their dicks hard to fucking actually make a real response. But then again, they don't, because they don't want to fuck around and find out. That's the difference. Neither side, I think, really wants to fuck around. Israel wants to fuck around and find out, but they want at least the U.S. to be backing them. So that's why they're complying with what we're asking for, but at the same time, they're also trying to goad Iran into fucking like really fucking going deep and hard on them. So then they can play the victim and say, oh, that's why we needed to fucking invade Iran, and with the U.S.'s help. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. But anyways, you got anything else to add on this one?
No.
All right, cool. Well, anyways, thanks for listening. If you want to listen to more of our shit, go to Game Rage Magazine on YouTube. You can like, comment, and subscribe there. Go to Game Rage Magazine on Instagram and TikTok. Game Rage Mag on Twitter/X. You can follow Adam at AllGas No Trash Official. And that'll do it for us. We'll catch you guys on the next one.
Was the latest episode of the Central Unintelligence Podcast. Don't forget, subscribe and like on Instagram and TikTok at Game Rage Magazine. We're also on Twitter/X at Game Rage Mag. Also our website, www.GameRageMagazine.com.